All right, what's up, fam? I'm here today to give you guys my official bets for UFC 324. We are only 1 day away from fight night. I can't wait to go out with the boys, drink some brewskis, and watch these fights. I'm in New York City, so we're expected to get 1 foot of snow, but who gives a fuck? We can figure out how to get home after these fights are over. So I'm just excited, looking forward to this, and I hope you guys are too. That being said, let's dive into my official bets for UFC 324. As you guys can see, I had Ricky Tercios as one of them, but unfortunately that fight got canceled. I just saw the weigh-in for Cameron Smotherman, and it was bad, man. I really felt bad. He got on the scale, came off, and then just collapsed on the floor. He stood there for a few seconds. His team came, and they eventually sat him up, and he just stayed there a little bit with the doctors around him. He drank some electrolytes, but it just looked bad, man. And honestly, we don't really see this, but there's some fighters that have brutal weight cuts, and just because they're not collapsing on the on the stage doesn't mean that, they go in there suffering and maybe even have complications after. A lot of them don't disclose it because, this is their livelihood. They want to go out there. They want to fight. They want to make money for their families. So I just wish the UFC would change that a little bit, maybe more weight classes, or at least educate the fighters on how to cut weight properly, because we have seen fighters improve their weight cuts. Some fighters used to have really rough, but depending on your diets and what you're putting into your body or how you're cutting the weight using like sauna or those hot baths or whatever, it really pays off. So it sucks to see that, and I hope Cameron gets better, because it was rough. It was rough seeing that scene of him collapsing on the stage. But that being said, we move. So Ricky Tercios was my money line bet, and I did have him in the parlay, but I had to take him out, and then did some work around to get you guys the best bets I could with the most updated information. So second, I have Modestas Bukauskas at -144. I think this is a good value spot at those odds. He's fighting a Nikita Krylov, who is coming off of 2 KO losses. One of them that was brutal against Dominic Reyes, and then recently KO'd by Bogdan Guskov. I just see more of the same here. I think he's going to get a third KO loss. I think Modestas is on a good streak. He is on a 4-fight win streak. He's coming in with the momentum. He's definitely turned a page in his book. He's improved as a fighter, and I think this is the logical next step for him in the Nikita Krylov, because he went from fighting Marcin Prachniow to Sakara to Ian Kutalaba, Paul Craig. So give me Modestas here. And then Sean O'Malley, -215. I like Sean O'Malley here. I think this is a great stylistic matchup for him in Song Yadong. I think Sean O'Malley is going to use his reach well. Maybe stay on the outside. If Song Yadong does come rushing in, he's probably going to catch him. But I think Song Yadong's durable. He might mix in the grappling, but as long as you're not a Dagestani or a Georgian, I think Sean O'Malley has pretty good defense, takedown defense. And if Song Yadong does get him down, I think Sean O'Malley's good to get back to his feet. All right, the safety parlay. All right, my pride and joy. I got Gene Silva plus Modestas Bukauskas at +127. Wanted to give you guys something with plus money. Gene Silva, great fighter. I think he's going to get a bounce back win here against Arnold Allen. That fight against Diego Lopez, I think that was a humbling experience for him, and he got a little bit reckless and ultimately got caught by Diego. I don't think that's a bad loss at all. Diego's fighting for the belt next weekend, and I believe he will be UFC champ next Saturday. So not a bad name to have on your L record. So give me Gene Silva here, and Modestas Bukauskas. As we spoke a little bit earlier, I just don't like Nikita Krylov coming off of 2 KO losses. Modestas comes in here with the momentum. So give me Modestas as the second leg of this parlay at plus 127. Then we got my favorite parlay, but again, the odds weren't that nice, so I decided to just save this and not make it the safety. But I like Jean Silva plus Natalia Silva. The Silvas here, the Brazilians to get it done in both of their bouts. Natalia Silva, she's fighting Rose Namajunas. I just think Rose is out of her prime. She's a little bit older. She's 33, but in fight years, I do think she's a little bit older than that. She's been around for a while, former champ, but I think it's Natalia Silva's time. She's definitely the faster of the two. I think her striking is better, and she's the next generation. I see this as a passing of the baton from Rose to Natalia Silva. Natalia Silva's 28, and I don't see Rose giving any problems to Natalia Silva. If anything, Rose is going to play into Natalia's game because I see Rose being the one coming forward, and Natalia is good on the back foot. She's good with counters and ultimately just, mixing it up well. She has good kicks. She's fast, and her grappling is good too. So give me Natalia Silva as my second leg here. All right, and then we got the Psycho Parlay. We got Sean O'Malley by decision. I think Song Yadong's just a little bit too durable for O'Malley to put him out. But I think O'Malley's going to try, and he's going to have big moments in the fight. And I already see the post-fight interview. Song Yadong's a tough motherfucker. I tried to put him out, but, I couldn't. He's got a good chin. But, ultimately got the dub here. So I think that's what's most likely going to happen here. And then I got Umar by KO or sub. I think Umar has to go out there and get a finish, man. He's falling behind because we got Peter Yan, the new champ. Merab might get a rematch. And then you got Sean O'Malley co-main. Dude, you have to go out there and put your name in the hat. And the only way you're going to do that is by going out there and getting a finish. Because if he goes to decision, which a lot of people do believe the Umar Figgy fight will go decision, it's not entertaining. Or at least it won't be, because I don't see Figgy doing damage to Umar. So it's not going to be one of those brawls or back and forth fights that people love. So give me Umar here to get a KO or sub. And at least have his name in the conversation, because otherwise this dude's looking at a title shot in like 2027. And then we got Modestas Bukauskas by KO. I like Modestas here to get another KO. I don't know how that chin is of Nikita's. Can't really trust it anymore. Can't even trust, Nikita to carry my car keys, man, because those two KO losses are just, they don't look well, and they don't sit right with me, and I wouldn't put money on him. The line actually went down on Modestas. He was a minus 150 or minus 160 something. He's a minus 144 now. So people are actually putting money on Nikita Krylov. If he was in his prime, I would too, because I do think Nikita Krylov at one point was the better fighter. But damn, man, I don't know how you guys are trusting a guy that's coming off of 2 KO losses in here. I think Modestas just has to land. He doesn't even have to land clean for the lights to switch off on Nikita. But got this at plus 1085. Those are pretty good odds for these fights. And this is the official Psycho Parlay. All right, and then the backup parlay. I added like a extra leg to this just if you guys would want it. You don't necessarily have to take it. But I do like Jean Silva to get a KO over Arnold Allen. I think you're going to see a calm, composed Jean Silva in there, set up his shots well. And Arnold Allen has never fought someone with Jean Silva's power. So I think when he lands, he's going to feel it. And eventually, Jean Silva's probably going to get him out of there in the later rounds. Then I got Natalia Silva by decision. I think Rose is a tough girl. She got grit. I don't see Natalia Silva putting her out there because Natalia Silva doesn't really carry too much power in her hands. And Rose hasn't been finished in her last 8 fights. So give me Natalia Silva by decision. And then Charles Johnson. I was thinking about what way Charles Johnson's going to win this fight, but all of them kind of made sense. It was like, all right, I could see Charles Johnson winning a decision here. Alex comes off strong in the first round. Then Charles Johnson takes over in the second and third. Charles Johnson with his reach, catches. Alex Perez coming in, swinging or coming in, explosive, catches him, knocks him out. And then third, Alex Perez might have to implement some grappling in here just because Charles Johnson does have a nice reach advantage. So I could see him locking up, a guillotine or a Darce. So I couldn't really decide. So I'm just taking Charles Johnson money line, and that would give you odds of plus 538. And then I added Waldo Cortez Acosta versus Derek Lewis to end in KO, and that gives you guys plus 816 plus 816 odds. I don't know why I said 816, but that gives you a little bit more, but it's an extra leg. I usually don't like adding too many legs to my parlays. I try to stay at 3, but if you guys want to get a little bit risky, add that to your parlay. And then my long shot hedge bet is going to be none other than Justin Gaethje by KO/TKO at plus 390. I do have Paddy Pimblett winning. And look, I just wanted to address this. Picks and predictions don't necessarily translate to bets. You could have someone winning a fight, but it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to put money on them. If they're like a minus 200, minus 300, minus 400 favorite, and I know the fight's more of a 50-50, I'm definitely not going to put money on that guy. I'd rather take the other guy, in a prop like this at plus 390. So give me Justin Gaethje. I think this is going to be his only shot of winning the fight, is going to be either by KO or TKO. I could see Justin Gaethje landing a nice, clean left hook or a nice uppercut. If Paddy gets reckless, that's the caveat to it. If Paddy goes in there composed and implements his game well and tries to grapple, take him to the ground and maybe submit Justin, then hats off to Paddy. But if they're going for exchange back and forth, Justin has power, man, and that's the last thing to go. I know Justin's 37, so I don't mind sprinkling a little bit on this for Justin Gaethje to get the KO over Paddy Pimblett. Also, Paddy's competition hasn't been the best. The more I think about it, the less confident I am in it. When this fight was first announced, I was like, all right, Paddy's going to win this. Justin's towards the end of his career. When Trevor Whitman came out and was like, Justin's retiring after this fight, if he loses, I was just like, damn. But then I go and I see Paddy. Who's he fought? He's fought Michael Chandler. He fought Tony Ferguson. He fought Jared Gordon, Jordan Levitt. I was like, these dudes aren't even ranked, or they're not even in the UFC anymore. So it's like Michael Chandler is really the only name he has on his record that's worth something, but even that is not even impressive. So Justin Gaethje by KO is going to be my long shot here. I do still think Paddy's going to win, but I don't mind sprinkling a little bit of money on this to see if he gets it done. So that's all, you guys. Just to recap, Modestas and Sean as my money lines. My safety parlay is Gene Silva and Modestas Bukauskas. Favorite parlay, Gene Silva and Natalia Silva. And then the cycle parlay is Sean O'Malley by decision, Umar by KO or sub, and then Modestas by KO. And then we got the backup to the cycle is Gene Silva by KO, Natalia Silva by decision, and Charles Johnson. And then if you want to get a little bit risky, add in Waldo Lewis to end by KO/TKO. And then last, we got the long shot in Justin Gaethje by KO or TKO over Paddy Pimblett. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys are able to watch the fights tomorrow, and I hope they deliver. So stay tuned for the next video. Please like and subscribe. I appreciate all you guys, and see you guys in the next one.